There's definitely a large fear of failure in newer agents, and as soon as they're told no, their mindset just like gets very cloudy. And you have to be willing to keep going even after being told no 100 times. Results are very difficult without action, and so many times people try to spend every other way trying to get a result other than just doing the actions.
We know all real estate agents want to acquire clients consistently so that they can grow their business and income for that great lifestyle. This broadcast brings you the best and top people in the industry to support that quest. This is Dave Fanale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk-TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and Align, your premier real estate solution. And we're back. Welcome, everybody. This is episode 421 of Real Estate Talk TGIF, 415 weeks in a row. My guest today took a very different approach to building her real estate business. Ashley Krasinski never built her business by looking for the perfect opportunity. She built it by saying yes to opportunities. While many agents are searching for the thing that they're going to do, the thing that they're going to be able to do, and Ashley spent the time, instead of thinking about that, building relationships, building her experience, and trusting across every corner of the business. She never decided that one type of client was better than another. She understood that something most people miss. You don't always know where the next opportunity is going to come from. Conversations, showings, ideas, it all matters. The mindset has helped Ashley transform a young agent into one of the nation's top producers and has now earned herself one of the highest honors in our industry, a place in the National Association of Realtors 30 under 30. This is the power of saying yes, the opportunities most agents overlook, and how one simple philosophy helped Ashley build an extraordinary business. Everybody, welcome my guest today, Ashley Krasinski. How you doing?
Thank you, Dave, for the extraordinary introduction. I really appreciate it, and I love working with you. So thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. Business has a lot of things going on. It's human people, it's human beings, it's personalities, it's attitude. With that, I have to ask you a very important question that we start every broadcast with. You may remember, you may have seen it. I don't know if you have or not. But what does TGIF stand for?
I don't know what TGIF stands for. I think in my head, the first thing I think is, thank God it's Friday. Today's Friday.
Yeah, that's really the answer that most people get, but there's a lot of people that do understand. About 10% of the people do get the answer correct. The answer is, thank God it's Fanale. We ain't going nowhere without that, the broadcast, and thank God it's Fanale. But here we are.
I didn't do my homework.
That's okay. But you remembered me. We worked together, so it's great. Anyway, I have this honor of working with this person, and I am amazed every day when I look at numbers or I just talk to her and I see how she acts. When I was in my late 20s, I thought I knew it all, right? I didn't think about this. I didn't think about that. I just said, this is what I learned. This is what I know. And I pushed. I worked for a family company. So if you work with a parent, for a parent, it's hard to understand that they don't see what you're doing. When you work for yourself, as Ashley has, it's let's do it and let's see what we can do. And that's what you've done with opportunity. And as time goes on, people always want to know what got people started, how they picked that journey, that style, that path. So if you would, let us know about where your journey started, why you got into real estate, because it's not something that everybody really looks at out of high school or college or whatever. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So my story was definitely not a traditional trajectory into real estate. So I had actually gone to Fairleigh Dickinson University. I was studying acting and communications. And at the time, I was working for a local real estate company doing their social media managing. And as I started to learn more and more and more, people had gone on vacations. Next thing you know, I'm running transactions. Then it started out where it's like, okay, we really need help in the area that you're in, where I was going to college. So I actually had, they basically sent me to real estate school to get my license, and we're like, hey, we'll pay you to go show houses around school. So at the time I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, I'm in college. I get to just go in other people's houses. It was a unique opportunity. But at the same time, my focus was on going to school for acting, and I wanted a career in theater. I had done a lot of social justice theater, which is basically like, using theater around social issues and just giving back to the community and really involving, art in what I wanted to do. So I started showing houses when I was in, college. And then from there, it was like one thing after another that now all of a sudden, and I say this and I didn't even realize how much I was doing, how much I was learning. I just kept saying yes to everything. And so next thing you know, it's like I literally know the whole back end of a real estate business. And the only thing I wasn't doing was being an agent in the front end, because I was really behind the scenes and doing just, showings. So I graduate college and I basically, tell my real estate boss at the time, I do not want anything to do with real estate. Stop asking me. I'm going to school for acting. I'm going to be auditioning in the city. And so I start, auditioning, and I'm still working because I needed to pay for, my college. And I slowly started to, kind of lean more towards real estate because it was becoming more profitable through me getting paid on, different showings and just things that I was actively doing. But then what changed everything was COVID. So COVID, halted the theater industry and really almost a lot of industries. And I sat on the computer from February in 2020 and called every single person in my, team leaders database and basically just started getting business because I already knew the back end. It was doing the front end, right? So I would just sit there and I would just call people, and I didn't want to leave my house because I was too scared of getting COVID. And so I managed to get so many clients and so much business that by the end of June, I decided that I was going to go full time into being an agent. And I ended up selling 12 houses my first year because I just called. That's all I did during COVID. And then when it finally got better to kind of go out and it was okay to show houses and be involved, that's when the rest of the year, took off. So that's even just like how I even started into real estate.
So you started really not knowing you were going to be in real estate. You started by just you had a job, in other words, right?
Yeah.
You were doing the back end stuff for somebody, and it was just going to be a job. And then, and what, a light bulb went off and said, "Wait a minute, why am I not doing that?"
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what happened over time, because my head was so focused on acting. Like my goal, my vision, my dream, everything I wanted to do was acting. So while I was being an assistant in real estate, I was just like, yes, because I, financially needed that job to support me through college, but I wasn't thinking about what I was actually learning and building at that time. It was just kind of second thought.
It's kind of like Karate Kid learning, in other words, right? Wax on, wax off, kind of like that too.
Yeah. You don't realize how much, like, I really didn't realize how much I was learning and doing until I was until I see agents now, come into the business brand new. And I think about, wow, before I went full time, I already knew how to run every single thing on the back end before I became a full-time agent. And that is what I think sets me apart, because I was able to scale so quickly because I knew everything on the back end versus, a lot of these newer agents, they come in and they have to learn everything. And then that's when they start picking up the pace.
So do you think it's important to know the back end before? Because one of the things, and the reason for the question is, being a broker owner for so many years, I learned that there was a log jam in people learning contracts, learning how things worked, because when they finally got to where they were going, they weren't going to remember it anyway. But I think yours was a little different. So in your case, it was better to know the back end first.
Yeah, I think so, because from even a, transaction standpoint, I was running transactions. And so if I was a newer agent and, I had a question for, let's say a mentor or a coach, like, oh, well, when's the deposit going to be due? Or when, how long is attorney review? Well, I already knew the whole process. So you put me in front of a buyer and I can explain the process from A to Z because I was running everything behind the scenes. And then, looking up properties and talking to agents and just all the things that I was involved in seeing gave me the perspective. I would tell stories. I would be like, oh, like, I had a client that did this. They weren't my stories. I was using other people's stories that I was involved in, but it wasn't directly me talking to the client, but I knew the story.
Yeah, so that's really interesting because we look at a lot of things and we see, like my one of my old time coaches and still really good friend John Cheplak talks about onboarding being very important. How do you onboard the people you recruit, et cetera, people you bring in? Onboarding is very important. Do you think onboarding in teams or everywhere now is what it should be, or does it need to be improved? And would that help an agent grow?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, look, I think everything is always in need of improvement. Like nothing is ever perfect.
I agree.
But I think that with a lot of realtors I see coming into the market, the people that have a coach and a mentor and the people that don't are vastly different. And you could tell, like, the way they submit their offers, the way they communicate with you. I almost feel that there should be like a requirement for having someone help you when you're new, because I feel bad for some of these people where it's like, and if only they knew what I knew, or only they needed to do this and they could get more offers accepted. And I'm constantly helping people, even if they're putting in an offer on my listing. I'm like, hey, like, if you do this to your contract, like, you might have been considered more, but you didn't even provide this and this and this, and that made you look at the bottom of the pile. Like, there's a lot of things that if somebody has experience and in the business is teaching someone new, that they can stand out and scale quicker. So I do believe that depending on, the onboarding process, having that person in person to help them and coach them is really going to make a difference.
That is huge. That is huge. And they have to be open to it. A lot of people, get into this business thinking, they're going to go out and show houses and they're going to make all this money and they're going to sleep till 11 o'clock and go show a house. That shit don't flush here, as we say. But the important part right now is I want to talk about you knew the back end and you started doing stuff. And one of the things I said in the intro was you said yes to every opportunity. Mm-hmm. Well, expand on that and what you mean by opportunities. Why you just did anything and everything that came up, because that's basically what you did, correct?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I always feel that everything leads to another thing. And if one thing doesn't work out, that's going to lead to somewhere else. So I love, like, I was showing a house, and then the person that I was showing a house to, for whatever reason, the client didn't work out, but I literally met someone in the driveway at that house that had come to say, like, hey, like, I wanted to see this house. And so it's just like, okay, well, if I didn't go meet that client didn't work out, but now I just met this person in the driveway because they drove past and wanted to see the house. And now I have that client, and then that client refers me to a client 3 months from now. And now I have that client so I look at everything as like a story, a puzzle. Like, everything is going to fit together at some point in time. You just have to keep saying yes. And you have to look for opportunities too. I actually, last week I wasn't showing. Last week I was at my parents' house, and the house diagonal from my parents recently got listed. And I see this car drive up the street. I see the car drive back down the street. The car drives up the street again. And I've been wanting to, like, see the inside of this house because I've been, like, super curious. So I literally, like, walk across the street and I was like, hey, like, do you want to check out the house? And they're like, oh, well, we actually have an agent. I was like, oh yeah, no problem. Like, I'm happy to just show you the house and then you could just talk to your agent. I said, I've actually been curious to want to see the inside. So I'll schedule the appointment real quick. And then if you like it, you just talk to your agent, right? So I show this guy the house. I leave. He was talking about wanting to be in Edison. And I said, oh, I actually have an off market right now that's going to be coming on in a few weeks. If you want to see it, let me know. Talk to your agent. Again, I'm not cutting anyone out. I respect everyone. And I love the relationships I have in this business with other agents and colleagues. So anyway, so he gets my number. And then he texted me the day after. He goes, oh, actually, I don't have an agent. I just said that. And I don't have any buyer agency agreement signed. And my son is actually looking to be in Edison. So then I ended up showing him the house in Edison. Now, nothing has happened yet, but, like, again, I went with the fact that he's telling me he has an agent. I didn't ask who. I didn't ask any questions. I just said no problem. And now look at what it's turned around. And I have a potential client that wants to buy an $800,000 house.
Hey, Ashley, where'd that mindset come from?
The mindset just came from always wanting to, do better and just having this abundant mindset that, like, the sky's the limit. Like, that's how I look at everything.
So a lot of people would have fear and they wouldn't do that. Okay. Is it just, okay. So let me look at something. I always say that, people worry about what people say. I say, act like a 4-year-old. They don't give a shit what anybody thinks.
Right.
Right. So they just do what they do. And it's not that you're acting like a 4-year-old, but what I say is that it's an opportunity. You say, what the hell? What are you saying? What do I got to lose? You got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah. I really don't have anything to lose. What do I have to lose? 10 minutes of my time? I mean, I wanted to see the house, right? So it was a win-win.
Right. Exactly. I know people that got into real estate just to see houses.
Yeah.
That's, they
get
it.
I love seeing houses.
Right. Exactly. So, okay. So, is there anything as you started out, you knew the back end, you got into business. Was there anything that ended up that scared you, that you knew was going to be a major growth opportunity that you had to force yourself to do?
Yeah, I mean, from the very beginning. So if you talk to, 2018, Ashley, that was an assistant. I remember one time, they asked me to call an attorney to follow up. And I was like, I'm not calling an attorney. I was like, I'm scared. I can't talk to an attorney on the phone. And I literally wouldn't even want to pick up the phone. And I look back at, where I am now, and it's like, I'd rather talk on the phone all day long than text people, or, just call me, please. Like all my friends, some of them who only love texting will get like so annoyed if I call them. They're like, Ashley, like, can you just text me? I'm like, no, I want to talk to you on the phone.
So what? Okay, so I know that's the way things are today. Mm-hmm. For me, it was always an issue. Like, when I had my own place, agents would come in and say, I can't get this person on the phone. They won't respond to me. I said, well, did you call them? Well, I emailed them yesterday. I said, did you call them? They said, well, no, I just told you. I emailed them yesterday. Or they come in and say, yeah, I've been texting them all day. They haven't responded to me. Mm-hmm. Did you call them? Yeah, well, I texted them. Call, pick up the phone. It's funny. I talk about this all the time because it was a pet peeve of mine and still is today, to pick up the phone, make the call, get the voice. And I try to go back to a story of when I first got into real estate. There were no such things as cell phones. There were no such thing as, even when I started, answering machines were a new thing.
Really?
Okay, I don't know if you know what an answering machine is. There was this box that you bought. It had 2 tapes and an outgoing message, and you could record the message. And as time went on, you could access them remotely. But anyway, and then cell phones came up. Then beepers came. Beepers were next. And then cell phones, and then Nextel, and it still was, if I needed to talk to somebody, mm-hmm. I would go to their house. If I couldn't get them on the phone, a contractor, I told them if they didn't answer my call in 3 days, I would be at their house at 6 a.m. the third day. Wow. And I had to do that. But face-to-face is really important. That's the reason for the story, right? So, all right. So, is your success based out of knowledge, based out of experience? Is it based out of curiosity? Or is it based out of discipline, or all of the above?
I would honestly say all of the above, because, when you're constantly learning, you are putting yourself above other people that are not willing to be constantly learning. And I think that's what separated me, because there was a lot of rooms that I was in where I was always the youngest in the room, but I was always willing to learn so much. So, I kept putting myself in these scenarios where I was surrounded by people that were doing more than me. And I was like, always the youngest and the least in terms of production, but I was putting myself in these specific scenarios because I wanted to surround myself with people that were doing more. So that's like part of that curiosity, like knowing, like, if they're doing this, I can do this. I just have to learn how to get there. And, age had come up a lot. I mean, there was people, and first it was me. And then once I got past that was really when I started to scale, because I used to think like, oh, like, they're not going to want to work with me. Like, I'm only 22, I'm 23, I'm 24, they're like, buying their third house. Do they really want to work with me? And so once I got past that limiting belief of like, no, I have the knowledge of a realtor that's been in this business for 20 years, because I've been consistently learning and I know everything that they know. Why would they not want to work with me? And so when I changed my mindset and got rid of the limiting beliefs, that's when the confidence really set in to say like, no, like, if you want to work with me, this is what I bring to the table. And I'm going to be the best agent that I can be for you. So, there shouldn't be any objection about age.
It's funny. People talk about time in the business. They think just because they've had a license for so long, it means that they know something, right? Right. I would stack your 7, 8, 9, 10 years against anybody's 25 years that I meet today, to be honest with you, because one of the biggest things I heard over in the early 2000s was, well, you know what, people would call me and complain about an agent. And I said, well, I've been in the business 25 years. I'd say, congratulations. It doesn't mean anything. Your time means an awful lot. And I would stack your experience against anyone's, right? And it's really important to have that experience because you've learned everything and you've been able to do it. So looking back on where you started and what started to help you build, we basically have established that you were going to do anything you had to do in order to keep going, because you know what, screw the fear, just keep going, right, and screw what's going to happen. Was there an opportunity that was the biggest domino effect in your business that actually really started you to go, or you just consistently grew?
I think the opportunity was in the past client referrals. It was in how I treated the 12 clients that I had that first year, where that came from, other sources of business. And then once I had done a good job with those clients, they all referred me to people that then the following year I sold 24 houses. And then that's really what started the domino effect, because I did such a good job, being honest and really getting the clients to feel like family and friends after the transaction, and keeping in touch with them, and just, reaching out throughout the year and doing all these things that then basically helped me grow the following year, because then everyone consistently then started referring me. And then, now it's turned into a massive business where I do client events and give back throughout the year to all my clients that continuously support me.
Exactly. And it's people want to know that you care about them and they don't want you to forget about them. Is that the main reason, do you think, that most buyers and sellers don't use the same agent the next time? Because you don't care about them enough, you don't talk to them enough, you're not consistent with them?
Yeah, I think that a lot of, not a lot, but I think that sometimes what happens is people are treated like a transaction instead of being treated as a person. And so after the transaction is done, like the people look at it in their mind as like, okay, it's done, on to the next. And then they don't really have that like connection. Whereas like I feel more involved in their lives. Like I want to know, like I was just on Instagram and saw my client got engaged. I saw another client had a baby. Like I literally, these life moments that are happening that I know that I was a part of, they're like almost like goosebump moments. Like I have a client right now, I'm going to their wedding next month. I sold them a house, and they met right when I was like in the middle of one of them buying a house. And the next thing they met, and then I felt like really involved in their whole relationship. And now I'm going to their wedding. So, things like that, I just feel so a part of my clients' lives, and I love it, because that's what I want. I don't want it to just be a transaction and it's like, oh, this, now this is done, I'm never going to talk to this person again.
So, okay. So you got started by working in a real estate office, doing the back end stuff, transaction management, so to speak, right? And going through with that, learning everything. And then it kind of got you excited to get going.
Yeah.
Two questions. First question is, was there any lead generation that you actually had to do, such as phone calls, open house, or anything that you had to do that you said, okay, this is going to be my lead gen thing, and that's what I'm going to do? Because you took every opportunity, right. So you didn't pick and choose, you just did it. But did you do any specific lead generation activities for your business?
Yeah, open houses, like you could have caught me at an open house every weekend. Like every open house opportunity there was, I was there. And I got a lot of business from open houses that now are all past client referrals, because I did the open house, sold them a house, and now they're referring me, and then they refer me. So those open houses that I did, you can link them back to a lot of current business today.
So if you had to get into the business all fresh again, would there, this is the second part of that question, would that be the lead generation process that you would use, open houses, period, or would there be anything else?
So personally, I don't really enjoy making like 500 calls a day. I mean, I did it in the beginning, but that's not necessarily the lead source that I would use if I had to do it all over again. I would 100% say open houses. Also door knocking. I've gotten listings from door knocking, just going out there and having the mentality that like, hey, I'm going to tell everyone in the neighborhood about where their prices are. And if they want to sell, hey, it works out for them, So those are the two that I'm like, super
okay.
fond of. But I also get a ton of business just being out and about. So the food store, the grocery store, that's the same thing. I don't know why
No,
I said
not
it like,
necessarily.
well,
Go ahead.
yeah, just like the nail salon, the car wash, I've gotten a buyer. Just being out on my front lawn, my neighbor walking his dog, I sold his house. So again, like me being out, don't be a secret agent. Everywhere I go, I'm talking about real estate. Now it's gotten to the point where I'm like, I go to a friend's birthday party and I have 50 people asking me about the market. I'm like, all right, like maybe now we're talking about real estate so much. Everyone knows, everyone's asking me. But before that, it was like anywhere I went, I'm plugging real estate,
Right. Okay. So agents get started in this business, and I'm going to keep harping on a lot of agents, they have a tough time getting started.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some agents, and we talked about this the other day, that just decide that this is what they have to do. They come from another industry, they get burnt out in another industry, or they suck at another industry, which happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they just want to do something else, and they do this. We have a colleague that when he first got into business, I think he did 18 transactions his first year, and now I think he's number 2 on the leaderboard for transactions. His second year in the entire team.
Yeah.
Is it we both know what he did. He committed that this is the way he was going to do it. Is there a reason you see in your experience with newer agents why they don't just commit and don't do what they need to do? Is there a reason for that?
There's definitely a large fear of failure with newer agents. And as soon as they're told no, their mindset just like gets very cloudy. And, you have to be willing to keep going even after being told no 100 times. And, you just have to power through. And that's where, consistently doing the work, you're going to see it later on. But a lot of agents will give up before, it's like that image of the guy digging through the tunnel and the light is almost there. And then he turns around and gives up because he doesn't want to get through to the end.
Yeah, that's true. So I just forgot my next question. That's okay. Events. You hold events. And it is absolutely more of a thank you to your past clients than a lead generating activity.
Yeah.
Tell me about the events you've run, how you've organized them, and why you do them.
Yeah. So my first event that I did by myself was a bowling event, and that was 3 years ago. And I wanted something different. Like I see a lot of realtors that are always doing the same thing. And I was just like, what can I do to stand out to be different? Like I constantly like making my mark with my own little, twist on things. So I rented out like 20 lanes at the bowling alley, and, I got sponsors and I put it all together and had everyone come out, and I did like raffles and prizes. And then I did on-camera interviews. So any clients that had left an on-camera interview got like a bonus raffle ticket or drink ticket. And so there's incentives, like I help you, you help me, we work together. And everyone, what's so amazing about these events is everyone has so many nice things to say. And I just am so appreciative of everyone's support. And I just love, being a part of my clients' lives that they then love being a part of my life too. And, meeting my family and knowing my journey. And at the most recent event, so last year I had done a farm event. So I had 200 clients at a farm, and we did a hay ride. We did corn maze. It was like really cool just seeing how much everyone loved coming out with their families. And then most recently I did an event at Somerset Patriots where I rented out the sky deck and then invited everyone to watch the baseball game. There was fireworks, food, and we did raffles there too. So just like hearing everyone's positivity. And, I had some clients also saying like, they're so proud of me and my growth, and they've seen it happen from beginning to now. And, just really having that community, it makes everyone feel like just really good. And clients even made a comment about like other clients became friends at this event. And they're like, I just love that all of your clients are like so positive, and I really am selective in who I work with because I want this community and I want everyone to be this way with one another.
I want everybody to realize what Ashley just said. She talked about clients and how much they care about her, and she cares about them. And it allows her to be selective about who she works with. See, you don't have to work with everybody. You only get to work with who you want to work with. But that takes time. Talk to me a little bit about your growth. You said you did 12 houses your first year, but that was April to December. People should understand that too, right?
Yeah.
Tell me how your business grew over the years to where you are today, and
So
why.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the first year was, again, all sources from a team, right? So again, like, you get leads from a team and you do very well in that first year, you're going to double your business the next year by then generating business from those leads. So, people that come in with a mindset of like, oh, I'm paying, X amount to get these leads. Well, you can't look at it that way. You have to look at, what is this going to help me do in the future? So once I closed those 12 deals, the next year I did 24, and most of them had referred me to other people, which then helped me grow. And then also open houses and, other sources too. It's not solely that. But then you look at the next year and it's like, okay, well, now I sold 36 houses. And now those 36 was a huge, again, jump from past clients referring me. And then it turned into 38 the following year. And then I did 40. And then I kind of got stuck in that range. And so then to really get past that, I did these bigger events and also open houses, other lead sources. And then that's when I closed 60, last year. So, you look at the just over time, every year continued to grow. One, because my mindset, like I wanted to grow. I kept pouring into my business. I kept making sure I was doing everything and anything to be able to grow. But at the same time, as the past clients continued to get larger and larger, and I sold more houses and more houses, the relationships are also building. Or now, I might have the same client refer me 3 clients in a year, and that starts to add up. And, that's what's happening now is I have so many transactions, and I'm so grateful because everyone is referring me, and I don't necessarily need to make phone calls, but I do because I follow up. I'm still consistent. I want to continue growing, but the past clients are, and my sphere of influence, my family, my friends, people that might not have even bought, but have referred me 3 clients because they know and they see what I'm building and what I'm doing.
So obviously you set goals
Mm-hmm.
and you do your best to achieve them. And I imagine, I know you do.
Yeah.
Is it important that when you set a goal to plan and prep your day, month, week, year, whatever? Is that important? And how important has it been for you?
So goal setting is absolutely huge. I would tell my clients, I don't think as much anymore, but I would, like, for example, when I had to sell 24 houses in a year, it's like, okay, I need to sell 2 houses a month. I would tell my clients like, hey, yeah, I'm going after this huge goal and I need to sell 2 houses a month. Do you know of anyone that's looking to buy or sell? And then they would feel a part of my journey, because if they were helping contribute, it's like they want to be in that 24 number, they want to be involved. So telling your clients, sharing your goal to everybody, yes, it's a lot of pressure. Yes, they're going to continuously look at, oh, did she make her goal or did she not make her goal? But guess what? At the end of the day, it's not about the end, it's about the journey. And if you give it your all and you put everything that you're doing into trying to achieve this goal, that's where you're growing, you're learning, and you're educating the people around you while also, becoming the best version of yourself, quite honestly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And goals are important. Planning and prepping, everything you do is important. I want to hit one thing you briefly mentioned in passing earlier, and that you met a client and you told them you had an off market that was coming to the market soon. There's a lot of agents out there that don't want to tell people about off markets. They want to wait till it's listed so they can get both ends of it. I mean, one of the things that I would say sometimes for sell by owners is they would tell me that they have an agent if they decide to list. And my question would always be, that's fantastic. How many buyers has your agent brought you before you list?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you basically did that. Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that is typical in our industry today? Or is it still like, let me hold these things. We used to call them pocket listings. Right. Do you think that's prevalent today still? I mean, we do have companies that don't cooperate. But do you think that's prevalent today?
I do see a lot more agents taking exclusive listings. But I do think there's still that mentality that's like, oh, I want to list this and I want to, look good, and I don't want to sell it off market because then no one will know I had a listing. And, there is some of that mentality still. But for me, if I can get my client the most amount of money that they want, because typically with an exclusive listing, we have the paperwork signed at a higher price than if we were to list it on the market. Because if we're listing it, we're listing it competitively to then get multiple offers. So if I have a client that they do not want to go through the process on the market and deal with the craziness and will get the highest amount of money for their property, and a buyer that's willing to pay that price and not want to deal with the competitiveness, then it's a win-win, right? So you always have to look at what is best for the client. And that's where setting your own emotions, your own self outside of all of that and doing what's best for the client will 100% set your career on fire, because I see so many realtors doing what's best for them instead of doing what's best for the client. So if a deal is about to fall apart and it truly does not make sense for the client to buy the house, I'm always 100% supportive, because I'm telling my client, look, I'm here for you. I don't care if you don't buy this house. I want you to be happy. I do not sell houses to clients that are not happy. I don't want anyone buying a house and then calling me in 2 months miserable. That's not
Absolutely. So let's get to something that's really important and really fun for you is there's right now, I think 1.4 million realtors in the United States. Then that's from NAR. And the NAR 30 under 30 is something you've just achieved. And I want everybody to understand that just being a great agent is not something that happens. That greatness comes from, yes, business success. It comes from leadership. It comes from innovation. It comes from community involvement. We've talked about all this stuff. We've talked about the impact on the clients and community that you have had. And it's just like so amazing, Ashley. I mean, I wonder, and I so admire all the things that you've done and all the different leadership that you're taking on and moving forward, because that's what you feel like is the right thing to do. Tell us about this award and honor for you and what it means to you and how you think you were able to achieve it.
Yeah, so the National Association of Realtors 30 under 30 has been on my mind for the last 3 years. So I applied, and what's crazy is I actually just saw the video that I had posted 3 years ago when I applied, and the video made me cringe, Dave. I literally was like, oh my gosh, really just seeing the Ashley in that video versus the Ashley in the last application video was just incredible to see the growth. And it was meant to be that they rejected me, because the amount of things that I did to try to then apply the second year to then get rejected again, and then go on and say, you know what, I'm getting it this year because this was the final time that I could have gotten it, because I turned 30 in May. I would have missed the cutoff. So this last year, I was like, I'm getting this, I'm manifesting it. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to set myself apart to be there and get this award. And so just knowing that it's such an honor, because they only select,
it really is,
50, and then they narrowed down to 30. So even making the top 50 was incredible. And, I sat at my computer shaking, waiting to see if I was going to make the top 30. And I just, when I saw it, I literally was just crying. Like I couldn't even think of anything else other than just crying, because it's one of those moments where you just feel so proud of yourself, and that you've done the work to get to where you want to go. I could even cry just talking about it again.
Yeah, I mean, you shared that with everybody through social media, which I thought was absolutely incredible. It was actually fantastic. It's great to reach success. It's great to reach different things, and now you come to the point where you're starting to share that with others a lot, right? Mm-hmm. You're sharing it with people in your own environment, down in our Metuchen office and stuff. Tell me about what that does for you and how you're able to help people and where you see that going.
Yeah, so I look at all the buyers and sellers that I've helped as just me, like truly being involved in their lives. But then when I look at agents, it's like, if I can help this agent, they can go on and help this many buyers and sellers too. And so just knowing the difference that I'm making in everyone's lives is really what just keeps me going at 100 miles an hour every day. Last week I just got Alumni of the Year at my high school, and I had to give a speech. And so I gave a speech about, I was sitting in these seats 10 years ago, and everyone is capable of achieving whatever they want to do. And so, I gave this really powerful speech, and I got up from my seat at the end, and, this girl came up to me and she was like, hey, like, your speech was so inspirational, and you make me want to finish my project right now tonight. And, thank you for basically talking up there and sharing your story. And I had goosebumps covering my whole body. And it's just one of those things where it's like, the more I can share and help other people, I know that that's going to continue to then impact more and more people. Again, the butterfly effect. So it would be, incredibly inconsiderate of me to not share all of this, because I know how many more people and lives that we can change just by sharing stories.
Do you think that you can help everybody you come in contact with? I mean, I know what the answer to the question is, but I want to ask you that and what you feel about that.
I try my best. I think there's some people I've come in contact with that just, they need to do it within themselves to, change and make the right choices. And so I've learned that you can't motivate people. They have to want it within themselves. Like there's been times where I've tried so hard, like I see it, I'm like, hey, like you're going to be this top agent. Like I know you can do it. And like people don't have it within themselves to believe in themselves. So, you can only try as much as someone is willing to try themselves. And so as much as I believe I can change every life I come in contact with, I know that just me being positive, I sleep at night knowing I'm making a difference, and that I don't, that I'm very genuine. I don't hide who I am. I'm literally, you can get the same Ashley no matter what time of day you talk to me. And, I am who I am. I'm not different on social media than in person. It's just,
You're not.
Everything is the same.
So I was last night we were at an event together and you were taking pictures and stuff and you put this whole collage together already and it's already been posted and I just like, okay. Here's the thing, you talked about that 3-year-old video that you took. I've been doing video since you could do video, since Facebook allowed you to do video and other things. And I have my first video. It is on my YouTube channel all the way at the bottom. And every now and then I look at it, I try to be funny. It was done with a camera on top of my computer and where you could buy them then. And I thought it was pretty funny. It was I think it was around 2000. It had to be around 2007 or 8 or 9 because it was about, when there was the crash and everything else. And I look at that and I say, that was kind of silly and everything. And then I look at what I'm doing today. It's just like someone says, can you do a video on blah, blah, blah? And I say, sure. And I just do it real quick. I write content all the time for what I post today. And I just write it and I do it and I'm done with it. And it's very simple. And I know a lot of people have challenges with content. They got a lot of challenges with it. And what about you? I mean, maybe it's, but maybe it's the age that it's just a lot easier for you. Is that true? Or everybody's taking selfies these days?
I mean, for me, it's like using these apps and plugging in. So like last night, I took all the pictures, I plugged it into an app and it made me a video and I put music on it. So like people can make it as complicated as they want to make it complicated, but I just look at it as done is better than perfect. I can't tell you, Dave, how many times I do a video and I post it and I'm like, I don't know, but I don't know about that one, but I just post it and forget it. And I have the likes and comments turned off on my phone. So the only way I could see what someone likes or comments is by me opening the app and then going into it. Right. So I'm not bothered by the notifications all day long. So, a lot of times I think people work on too much perfection and, it's got to look a certain way. Like, no, it just has to be posted. The stupidest videos that I've posted have gotten like hundreds of thousands of views. I mean, I took one the day of the Verizon outage. I took one of me lying on my floor in the kitchen and it had like 500,000 views. And it's just like the ones that are the silliest are the ones that get the most. And the ones that you take so much time and effort and hours on editing, those are the ones that don't even go that much. So I would say it's as easy as everyone is willing to make it. You just have to be willing to do it. And I've been posting every single day since October. So I'm not breaking that streak. And there's been times where I'm posting at 11 o'clock at night. So
are these stories or posts?
Every day I have to have either a post or a reel. So every day.
Okay, great. And has that helped your business, Ashley?
Oh, absolutely. I'm getting clients through Instagram just from people going on my social media.
That's fantastic. So so you and I, it is now June 12th, 2026. If we have this conversation in 10 years, first of all, what do you hope people will say about Ashley Krasinski? And what do you think you'll be known for, what people will say about Ashley Krasinski differently? What you will have accomplished and what people will say. Tell me that.
Well, I hope that people still say I'm just as genuine and, a great person that cares about people and really, gives back to the community and wants to be involved. And I think that 10 years from now, I'll be running a big team and using my leadership to just continue to help other people and agents and clients. And that's really where I see myself. So the more people I can help, the more I'm going to continue to grow and the more I can build an empire.
There you go. So, okay, last question. Well, second to last question. You come in contact with an agent that really wants to make money, and they kind of need to make money, and they're brand new, just got their license. What's the first 6 months you're going to tell them? What are they going to do in that first 3 to 6 months?
They're going to get up every day. They're going to make their bed. They're going to be ready to go by 9 o'clock. And they're just going to go after phone calls, open houses, door knocking, every prospecting activity, break it down and just get after it. And I promise all the learning and education that comes with then getting a client will come after, because they just need to be in the action to see the result, because results are very difficult without action. And so many times people try to spend every other way trying to get a result other than just doing the action. So if they can wake up, plug in, and get after it, I promise the rest will pay off.
So I want to translate one thing that you just said that people did not hear, that I heard it. Mm-hmm. Forget the shiny objects. There is no silver bullet. Just go out there and do anything and everything having to do with prospecting, lead generation, and just check out everything. Check out every opportunity there absolutely is. Ashley, I want to thank you so much for being on the broadcast today. It's everything I thought it would be, and I'm really excited to have had you on. And I have two things left. First, how do I help you grow your business?
You're going to be my coach.
Okay, I'll do that. Anything you need, I will do for you. And lastly, you know what? Been doing this for, almost 8 years in a row. Not everybody got a hat, but you get a hat. Everybody gets a hat that comes out of the broadcast. It's nice. It's black. It's got a line. Oh, wrong side. It's got a line on that side. Really excited about this. And just so everybody knows, next week is a special event. Next week. Oh, did I turn? Everybody hear me still?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. Next week, we have Grant Wise on. Grant is always on my anniversary show. Next week will mark 8 years, 416 weeks in a row. It will be episode 422. We've done 6 extra shows. Two of those shows were John Cheplack. One was Tom Ferry. 2 were Brent Gove. And the other one was, I think, Glenn Sanford. Anyway, I want to thank you so much, Ashley, for coming on. Everybody, make sure you see Grant Wise next week. Co-marketing, Partners in Profit podcast. Has done so much for me in this business. Great friend of mine. I'm so excited to have Grant on again. And Ashley, you're just the best. Thank you so much. God bless you and your family. God bless you and your business. I'm here for anything you need. Everybody, will see you next week. And I think that's it. Ready? Stay on as we go off, Ashley.